Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays a Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. This is a big one, right? We're going for win 20. 20 days in a row with a potential victory. And some good commentary along the way. Yo. We did have Eden's Blessing last time. YYNB 8DXA. Seems like Eden's Blessing only shows up on the chest. And yes, I am saying that partly because if it showed up right now as we enter this item room, it would be hilarious. Okay, well, you know. I actually prefer the Razor Blade to the Metronome, I think. And I've learned a little bit about early Isaac gameplay. One of the things I recommend to myself is like, hey, why not shoot all these fires early? You take probably like 30 seconds out of your Isaac run. One Spirit Heart turns the game on its head. Right now we're at a level where like one bomb turns this game on its head. I'm always I'm always searching. Like a movie starring John Cho. I have not seen it. I heard it was pretty good though. I'm always searching for momentum. Not just in Isaac, but yes, in Isaac. In my life as well, though. I think momentum is an underappreciated concept. That's why, like, you know, when we don't record too many collaborations anymore, but it's honestly not because of, like, you know, philosophical differences. It's because, well, there's two real reasons. One of which is that, you know, many of my colleagues, in fact, most of my colleagues, don't really pursue YouTube as, like, a thing anymore. And they are predominantly, or perhaps even exclusively, on Twitch. The other thing is that, you know, when everybody is 25, they tend to have a little bit more free time, a little bit more, you know, open real estate in their life to do stuff like that. You get a little bit older, give me a bomb. It was worth a shot, I think. You get a little bit older, that doesn't always apply, you know. Life tends to fill up in a way. That time that, you know, otherwise might have gone to, you know, like pumping out a new YouTube collaboration or something. And this is not other people, it's me as well. That time that would have gone to pumping out another YouTube series, all of a sudden, you know, oh, you got family stuff. Though this is mighty dangerous. Dude, he's coming in too hot. Okay, stay friggin' frosty, dude. First off, if I could get the bird to aggro, that's step one. And just keep it steady here. Hold on. Remove banter from the equation temporarily. We just don't want her to be in a position where he could possibly... Oh, never mind. We have nothing to worry about. And by nothing to worry about, I mean we are extremely dead if we don't get HP ASAP. But there's nothing on this floor that's going to save us. Okay, let's focus on Isaac for a bit. I'm actually, like, not that disappointed with the way that I handled this, which might surprise you. I feel like we got hit about the right amount of times, on the high side of average for a haunt fight. Especially, like, you know, when there's two of those guys in that tiny space, things get a little touchy. But this will certainly, you know, impact the way that I choose to approach this situation here. Not the consumable we're looking for, but anything can help you out in a pinch. Okay. Stay steady, stay focused. We have a real statistical advantage right now. We're also one bomb away from an Isaac's room. When I mean statistical advantage, I just mean we got way more speed and DPS than you would normally expect at this point on our run. Beautiful. And would have loved to have kicked that over. This room's modestly spiced, but hey, man. Free, free fires. You gotta like it. You ain't gotta love it. But you gotta like it. Good movement. Good movement. Okay, we've opened up a little bit. Shops will now help us. I've been working my butt off on this floor. Just trying to get the one consumable that can take us to the next level. One little... Oh my god, just a single bomb. It's teasing us now. A single bomb gives us 10 different ways to survive. A bomb or a red heart or a spirit heart in here is all we need. It's a little bit on the expensive side, but I think we'll buy the spirit heart because it also protects from the deal with the devil, or losing the deal with the devil. Okay, now we can talk about it. But yeah, when we used to do like a lot of YouTube collaboration, and man, I don't even need to resort to the like talking about collaborations for this. To be honest, is the way that I look at my day. Like I structure my day in such a way that I can, okay, don't lose this. In such a way that I build momentum. You know, I think it's one of those things, people give like productivity tips. And most of the time I think, you know, I don't really, you know, believe in that industry, to be honest. You know, reading the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and, you know, people sometimes have like a library full of pseudo productivity business, self-help books, etc., but have never put any of the advice in them into practice. I still can't believe how bereft of consumables we are here. I don't think we can do anything with the key. I think we just got to move on. But I'm thankful we're at least alive. But one of the things I see come up a lot that I also recommend is structure your day so that the most like frictionless tasks go first. You know, especially like if you and it's probably different stuff, you know, different philosophies for different people, I'll admit. Oh, there's a bomb. But for me is like, you know, I try to, let's say I've got, you know, 8 hours mentally kind of like booked off for videos. I try to make sure like the first 4 to 5 hours of that are just videos, if that makes sense. You know, like if I have 2 hours, or if I have 2 series that are like frictionless, I don't need to do any research before. Like Isaac is frictionless, you just turn it on and go. Right now, 60 seconds reatomized is there too, and that's frictionless. So, you know, I structure my day so there's very, very few roadblocks at the start of the day. And then I put the tasks that are a little bit more time intensive at the end of the day. Because for me personally, it's like, the way I get motivated is I'm like, oh, I've been working, you know, from 10 to 2. And I've already done 5 videos or 4 videos. Like, that's really good. I think that it's, you know, it lets you see what you can do with the rest of your day and you get excited. One of the, and this is not even on the same boat, but, you know, like the philosophy that I have is, I always think back to like when my mom, on summer vacation, she would tell me like, hey, make sure you take the meat out of the freezer so it's defrosted for dinner tonight. It was the only actual job I had most days of like my summer vacation, and I still left it to the last minute every single day. You know, she calls me at 9, I'm like, yeah, I'll take it out. She calls me at noon, she's like, hey, how's your day? And I'm like, oh, pretty good. She's like, did you take that out? I'm like, Mom, it's only, the day's only half over, relax. All of a sudden, it's 4:30, I hear her car pull into the driveway, I'm like, oh no, I didn't even pull the meat out. I truly believe a task will expand to fill the time allotted. If you give someone a document to fill out and you say, hey, I need this by Friday, you're going to get it on Friday, even if it takes 2 seconds to fill out and it's Monday. So for me, one of the best pieces of productivity advice I ever got was somebody told me, like, I think they read it in a book or something. They were like, if a task takes 5 minutes or less, you're not allowed to procrastinate it. I've tried to live by that. I'm not saying it's worked 100%. But, like, let me hit you with some examples that I think are applicable to a lot of people's lives. You know? It's a Saturday. Maybe you got, you know, not that much to do, but you've just been sitting in bed looking at your phone. And you think, I should brush my teeth. No, no, no. You're going to brush your teeth. Because it takes, you know, 3 minutes or something like that. So, I honestly don't know how long. I've got one of those electric toothbrushes that just goes and then stops when you're good. When it thinks you're good, at least. But yeah, just do it. Like, that's, and then, like, that's not gonna fix any problems you have in your life, for sure. But now that you've knocked one thing out, you can move on to the next thing. And usually when people, and I can't speak for everybody, but, you know, for me, I'm like, oh, I gotta clean the house today, or, like, you know, I don't want to make it sound like Kate doesn't do most of the work in that regard, because she does, but maybe I'm like, she's doing, like, a lot of housework. All I have to do is, like, the dishes and the laundry. Once I do the dishes, I'm like, oh, well, the dishes are clean, but, like, the stovetop's a little dirty, the countertops are a little dirty, so I'll start wiping those down. And now I'm like, oh, well, that's clean, but, like, you know, we have some stuff in the fridge that we could probably throw out. And then I start throwing that, you know, like, the productivity is kind of like, it's addictive to some extent. So I recommend it in twofold. I'm a momentum-based individual, I've realized. In the long term and in the short term. If you're having struggles with that, what are my 2 pieces of feedback? As if I'm some kind of authoritative source. Step 1, if possible, you know, depending on your job, you might not have the opportunity to do this, to be fair, but try to structure the easy tasks at the start of the day so you can build up some momentum for those harder tasks at the late day. And 2, something's gonna take you under 5 minutes, just do it. I've been trying to be better about that. Because, you know, one of the things that takes under 5 minutes always is replying, well, almost always, is replying to an email. And I'm so guilty of being like, I'll reply to this later. And that's for emails I want to reply to. I've caught a lot of heat for this, but I don't, some content creators, I think they have their priorities messed up. And this is, I say that frankly, even though I'm also like, you know, it's just a matter of personal opinion and like how you want to, you know, live your life. But some content creators are like, I reply to every comment. I think we want this, and then we'll take a stab at this, and I regret it immensely. I wouldn't mind 9 volt, but it's not mission critical, I think. Let's go check our curse room potentially, because we're on a guppy line, thanks to Eden's blessing. Pardon me. I do not reply to every email. In fact, I reply to probably proportionately very few. But that's because most emails I get are essentially some form of cold calling. And it's not that I don't respect it, it's just like, hey, you know, if you talk to a stranger and they let you go to voicemail, or they leave you on red or whatever, like, you're not obliged to reciprocate somebody's communication just because they communicated with you if you don't know who they are, you know? If you have some kind of other arrangement with them, you know, if they're a friend or a co-worker, obviously, like, you know, significant other, you should never do that. It's very selfish to read something from somebody and not reply when you're supposed to, you know, have a mutual level of, you know, respect and open dialogue and stuff like that. But, you know, if a stranger is like, you know, hey, you're part of an email blast because your email address ended up on a list of YouTubers 8 years ago that I still use for, like, all of my marketing, so, like, please email me back if you want a Steam code. I you know, much of the time I just won't email back because it's like, no, it's like, right, people, they assume that I'm a jerk. It's not the case. I'm actually a very nice guy. Sincerely. People who only digest my content online, sometimes they're like, he's a little acerbic. People that meet me in real life are predominantly like, he's got a kind soul. But people they get on my case all the time thinking that it's mean to not reply to like a cold email. That a cold email, you know, just somebody you don't know is like, hey, This is me, and you should play my thing. I've decided I don't want this item. I've decided I'll take it. The art of the deal. But like, the way I see it is not quite the same. But like, if you get a letter in the mail, should you reply to it? You know? Yeah, if it's from your mom or your grandma or, you know, someone in your family, or, you know, you asked for them to send you a letter, you should send them like a thank you note or something, for sure. When you get a flyer from Safeway, do you, or some other junk mail, you know, when you get like a Best Buy flyer, are you obliged to go to Best Buy because you got the flyer? That's the way I think of it. It might be a difference of opinion, but there's only so much time in the day. A lot of YouTubers, and I guess this is going to be like a YouTuber episode. There's a few different genres of episodes. A lot of YouTubers, they pride themselves on replying to every comment, or, you know, replying to every email or something like that. I think there can be some merit, you know, like I've been trying to be a little bit more community friendly, you know, because if you're watching this video, you're presumably, you know, you like what I say from time to time, maybe not this episode in particular. You know, I think I could be, I mean, I interact on like the subreddit, but I could reply to more comments and, you know, like comments and stuff like that. Or, you know, somebody draws something related to the show, go, whoa, that's cool, instead of looking at it and being like, you know, oh, that's cool, and then sometimes not replying, even though I think it's sweet. You know, I'm working on that stuff. That's not in my natural kind of wheelhouse. But, replying to like random cold emails, I don't think it's a good use of your time as a content creator. Or as like, I mean, I don't think people in other professions feel compelled to do that. I think it's uniquely YouTuber streamer culture. Anyway. I'm also like, you know, when people, and I understand the methodology. Everybody thinks that they would be Bill Murray if they had any kind of fame, okay? Or at least a lot of people I know think that they would be Bill Murray if they had some kind of notoriety, you know? They would be the guy who's like, you know, he walks up and takes a French fry out of your box and goes, they'll never believe you. And, you know, there's all these great stories, and I love these stories too. Like, you know, there were stories going around about George Clooney, where if you like went up to him and said, hey dude, I saw Batman and Robin in theaters, George Clooney would personally give you $10 as an apology. I don't know if it's actually true, but I feel like everybody thinks, and I thought that too. I was like, I'm gonna be one of those. If I ever get like super famous, which I'm definitely not, but you know, bear with me on this one. I'm gonna be like one of those cool guys who's gonna do like all the cool stuff. Mostly doesn't happen because people are people and they just kind of want to be left alone sometimes, I think is the honest answer. So I was like, you know, at first I was like, I'm going to reply to every comment. But I think that's mostly because I was like, you know, hey, maybe it gives me an edge. I can be the YouTuber who's so community focused, he replies to every comment. And, you know, on top of being not really feasible as you get larger, if you get larger, I think it's also like, you know, most of the people watching the content would rather, instead of you literally replying to 200 comments a day, or, you know, 1,000 comments a day, maybe you just made like another 4 videos or something like that. But I might be in the wrong on that one. You might disagree. And I think, you know, being a little bit more community focused is something I could definitely, it's on the list of things, and it's a long list, but a list of things I could work on for sure. All right, I'm tired of this run being only middling. Let's crank this into high gear by getting a shop with a reroll machine and a bunch of spirit hearts. Mission failed. Okay, we will take jumper cables. I was hoping maybe, I mean, it's not really how it works, but in my head I was like, man, what if jumper cables somehow is actually car battery? Wouldn't that be sick? Yes, it would be. Oh, well, somehow we screwed that up. But it's not. Anyway, the relic is going to help us out a ton. We are not going to make boss rush. Do not get get that idea in your head. Got a lot of value out of the jumper cables here. We're gonna get a deal with the devil as well. This item is pivotal. You love it. No Krampus? You love it? You don't love it. You do take Rotten Baby. And now we're coasting on Relic, hoping for that to drive our victorious elements here. Anyway, I don't really know how I got off on this subject. I think it's good, though. You know, some people, they like to hear about, like, the quote-unquote inside baseball. Inside baseball stuff. If there's one thing, like, people say I have a good work ethic. And I do, but it's not fair. I haven't always been accused of having a good work ethic. One of the reasons I have a good work ethic is because I have a job where I actually like what I do. I think if I I've worked other jobs. I didn't have, like, a bad work ethic at other jobs, but I also, people weren't like, wow, Ryan didn't start as that great of an ESL teacher, but he's really putting in nights and weekends to learn some new techniques to really help him get to that next level. No, not really. I just kind of, I arrived when I was supposed to arrive, by which I mean 5 minutes early, because I'm, like, medically paranoid about being late at all times. And, you know, I left when I was supposed to leave, and I did my work, and I didn't have an attitude, but I wasn't hustling 125%. So a lot of my productivity advice, if you know, I have it for sure, but a lot of my productivity advice should probably be couched in the realization that what is a job for me is a hobby for the vast majority of people, and as a result, you know, I might not be that qualified on a universal level. However, I will also say that's why it's even more baffling to me that a lot of YouTubers, and I feel like I draw this distinction a lot, not so much streamers, a lot of YouTubers have a real issue with work ethic and I'm death's listed. a real issue with work ethic and time management that I'm like, I hate to be the guy who's like, you know, every time I, like, insult other YouTubers, I feel like, and this is going to be, like, equally judgmental, to be fair, but I feel like one of those girls that, like, we all knew in high school who, like, they didn't have the healthiest self-esteem, so they, like, defined themselves as not being like other girls, you know? They're like, I'm not like other girls. I'm one of the boys. I fart. I drink beer. I watch football. Other girls, yeah, with their makeup and stuff, I hate them. They're stupid. I feel like I'm selling out my own, like my own colleagues, but I'm doing it because, you know, I have perspective, I guess. Regardless. Hey, by the way, if you're one of those girls, if you come by honestly, more power to you. However, you're good enough. You're worth it, okay? People will value you as more than just the girl who farts. I guarantee it. Just give them some time to figure it out. But I am, like, you know, when there's, like, YouTubers who are like, I can't bring myself to record an episode of, like, The Sims today. I'm like, really? This is sincere. It sounds patronizing. What's that like? Because it sounds foreign to me. And I think it would sound foreign to a lot of people watching this, too. I'm not trying, and again, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble, and I have in the past. You know, I'm lucky enough to be able-bodied, able-minded, you know. I've had ups and downs in my life, but, you know, I've never had, like, I think a diagnosable, you know, like mental illness like depression or something like that. So, yeah, I don't get it if that applies, for sure. Does it always apply? I don't know. Maybe. To be honest, I'm not really qualified to make that judgment, I suppose. But sometimes I do think, like, the answer lies somewhere in the middle. And again, this is dangerous rhetoric because I'm not qualified to say it one way or the other. But I am like, you know, I want to be very clear. I'm not trying to say like if you have a mental illness or you're depressed or you're anxious, oh, just, you know, eat ketones and get over it. You know, I'm very, very far from that guy. But I do sometimes wonder the positive side of a culture where everybody overshares all the time is that there's a lot more awareness about issues that previously were like, you know, people were in the dark over, for sure. But I do also wonder if it doesn't lead to sometimes like Twitter becoming an enabler for not getting out of like a rut in your life as well. You know what I mean? Like there's no... And I go through this now and then. Sometimes, you know, I hit like a level where I'm like, oh, I'm sad. And I'll tweet something like, I haven't been having a great week, I apologize. Oh, the content sucked lately, but we'll get back there, blah, blah, blah. There is no worse feeling for me than when, and this is, again, just as a very rude episode, but there's no worse feeling for me than when I tweet something like that, and I get like 200 replies that are like, you're great, you're beautiful, nothing you ever do is bad. Like for me, I feel like I've made myself a burden on others to some extent, and the feedback is nice and it is reassuring, but at the same time I'm also like, man, look at this. I can't believe I put like a tweet like that out into the world. Because it just seems like bait to be like, please tell me I'm great. Even if that's not where it's coming from. But I think, I don't know, I think some people like react to that differently. I think some people, I'm not going to say they crave it, but I think some people are less affected by it than others. You know what I mean? And again, it's a controversial subject. I'm not trying to make any definitive takes on mental health. But, you know, sometimes I do like it. Not like, because it's unpleasant in the moment. But, you know, sometimes it can be what I need to hear. To have people be like, you know, to leave a comment that was like, hey, I normally like what NL does a lot, but today's stream just didn't do it for me, and here's why. You know? At the time, I'm like, oh, screw this person. But then once I get over that, I'm like, you know what? This person has given me a valuable piece of information for free that can let me make what I do better in the future. If they phrase it like a jerk, then they're being a jerk, and I'm not trying to enable that. I don't like that. But if they phrase it, you know, like a constructive human being, and they're like, hey, today's show kind of sucked. I'm like, okay, dude, honestly, thank you. Like, if you go, today's show sucked and don't say anything, that's bad. If you go, today's show wasn't my favorite and this is why, that's so valuable. I would much rather get, you know, a comment like that daily, let's not go overboard, than get, you know, 100 comments that are like, no matter what you do, I'm going to be around forever. I'm being 100% sincere. This is a tough one, right? Let's try it. I think we need to maybe coast to the end on this one. And maybe it's different strokes for different folks, but that, you know, as long as we're having real talk, that's kind of the case. Now, I'm not suggesting you should be kind of a jerk in your comments. And moreover, criticism is cheap, you know? One of the things that annoys me with the internet is when people like something, they normally leave like a sentence. Hey, I liked today's show. And when they liked something 98% and had 2% of a problem with something, they tend to say, hey, I liked today's show, and then write an essay about the 2% of things they didn't like. Which leads the human mind to be like, wow, this is 98% bad and 2% good, when really it's the opposite. But I guess, like, I don't know. I don't like it when social media reinforces my tendencies that I already have, or reinforces the mood that I'm already in to some extent. Like, I appreciate the sandpaper to some extent. I think it helps make you a better content creator, to be honest. Like, and by the way, I do appreciate when people are like, take all the time you need, you know, blah, blah, blah. This doesn't come up very often, let's be honest. But I'm just like a clock. When I tick and I talk. However, I like when people say that and it's very supportive, but at the same time, what's more helpful is, like, for me, and I don't think this is true for everybody, but I would much rather get a comment that's like, hey, it happens to everybody, stay strong, you'll get through it. I much prefer that than, like, you know, no, you're wrong to be sad right now, you're a superhuman. I don't want that. Words of power to carry you through, but nothing coddling. Like, I hate getting, and again, this doesn't come up very often, but I hate the idea of getting comments that are like, no matter what you do, I'll support you until the day you die. Because I'm like, nah, dude, you have some more self-respect for yourself and your time. If I start sucking badly and, you know, just have, like, terrible takes or something like that, or, you know, I pivot immediately, I'm no longer a video game channel, I'm a car channel, or I just turn into, like, a total D-bag, I would hope that most people would be like, I'm out. I think we still want the nail here. I know we didn't use AWAS, but, you know, once you get past that, like, boss rush potential, there's not that many good uses for it, unfortunately. Anyway, that's why I'm like, nah, first off, I don't believe you. Secondly, you should have some more self-respect for your time. You know, there's a lot of, well, not a lot. There's, like, 2 podcasts I really like. If Hardcore History all of a sudden, you know, took a weird turn and it was like, now we're talking about cooking, I'm like, I'm out. There's no disrespect. But, you know, some people are like, I'd listen to you talk about anything. I'm like, I wouldn't. So I much prefer the comments that are like, you know, you're doing great, keep it up, you'll get through this. Instead of like, no matter what you do, I'll support you. Because I'm like, I don't want that. Kind of sends the message that, like, it doesn't matter if I do good work. I would like to have the self-actualization of thinking that, you know, even if what I do is merely entertainment, you know, there's some merit in it somewhere. Anyway, this is not, all this conversation that I've had so far is not to reflect on people that maybe you're watching this and you're going like, oh, I've sent nice messages to NL and now he hates me. Not the case. I'm highlighting the weird, you know, wrinkles within my own brain that some of them I think are like, you know, relevant and relatable to a lot of people, and some of them I think maybe is a more niche part of the population. I am the kind of guy who, you know, I like an honest compliment for sure, but I hate a compliment made under duress. If I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and, you know, my friend was not very complimentary most of the time, and he said like, hey, I really like your jacket. That would mean a lot to me. When I'm walking down the street and somebody holding a clipboard that is soliciting donations goes, hey, nice jacket. I'm like, I will be selling this jacket immediately. I'm like, you don't really think that. They might really think that, but you're being paid to say that in a way. So as a result, I don't believe you. You know, I think that's the best way to describe it. I always think about, you know, like, this is like the $64,000 question I have for YouTubers and content creators. Why are, and it's not, like, this is not a gotcha question, it's a genuine question. Why does it seem like YouTubers and content creators have such a good job on paper, but are constantly, let's not say constantly, but seem to also struggle with mental health more than other professions? Many other professions, at least. Here's one reason. I'm in the bubble. I hear way more YouTubers and content creators talk about their mental health. And as a result, I think that it's overrepresented when actually it's at the industry or the world average. Possible, but my gut tells me that's not the case, but I might be wrong. Pardon me, that was my stomach being very, very eager for food. Here's another one. And this one I think is more valid. As a streamer or content creator, you're constantly being exposed to people's anonymous feedback of you as a human being. And that has a mental toll cost that is paid. And as a result, you're exposed to what people around you are thinking in real life, but they would never say it to you were they not anonymous, or also like, because I don't necessarily believe that just like anonymity moves people towards being a little rude. I think it helps, but I think it's more like distance as well. Like, I think if you all of a sudden you were like, hey, you can write anonymous feedback to like your coworkers, because you work in an office with them, I still think the vast majority of human beings would not write like, hey Janet, you're ugly or something like that, right? Because they don't want to see Janet be sad. They know Janet. And also, it's just very rude. I don't think most people see themselves that way. However, if you said, hey, here's a live video feed of a stranger you'll never meet that lives in another country, and if you type a comment, they won't know who you are, and they'll read it immediately. I think a larger cross-section of the population would be mean, just to put it bluntly. Apart from that, the only other thing, and I don't think this is a big part of it, but I think that it might be a little bit of an element of it, and it's going to get me some flack, and I think that that's appropriate, because I'm here to learn as well as to, I don't want to say teach, but you know what I mean. I'm here to talk, but I'm also here to learn more in the process. It's like it's a two-way street. Sometimes I think that part of the reason that it's that mental health is such a concern in these industries, along with other factors that I would say are like more legitimate, is that as content creators, we have an audience of people that are like supportive, perhaps even to the point that it allows people to stay in a rut for a longer period of time. I'm not suggesting that like, it's a good thing that if you're, a stonemason. Wait, are they called stonemasons or just masons? Let's say bricklayer. Okay. Like if you're like a roofer, and you suffer from like anxiety or depression, and you have, like 2 kids in a family to support, you still have to go to work. Now, is that a good thing or is it a bad thing? I think it's a good thing and a bad thing. First off, I'm not a doctor, but secondly, I'm like, sometimes I think that we have a job that allows us to kind of like duck out from time to time. I think that when you use it sparingly on bad days to make sure that the quality of your product stays consistent and you don't lose your mind, that's great. But I think it can spiral a little bit, and sometimes, like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I'm like, I think having some economic pressure to get it together, to whatever extent you can get it together, I think it can be helpful, to be honest. But that's just my 2 cents. Anyway, for now, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. And I'm eager for your feedback on this one, too. It's not just me telling you, oh, here's the problem with society today. It's more just me spitballing. I'm eager to see what people have to say. For now, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya.